You already know what time it is, man. The young GOAT in the building. Make sure you tune in to True Hill Heat Podcast.
This is Timothy Barr from MLW. Make sure you give a listen to one of the greatest podcasts in the world, True Heel Heat.
What's up, guys? It's Wolverine Death Machine, Mr. GMSI himself, Brian Cage, and you're watching True Hill Heat. Who better? Nobody.
What's going on, everybody? This is your former AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Once a champion, always a champion. Swerve Strickland. Whose house? Swerve's house. You're watching True Heel Heat Podcast.
Hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. We are live on the True Hill Heat YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for our AEW Worlds End 2024 preview. Breaking down tomorrow night's show from Orlando, Florida, the final AEW pay-per-view of 2024, the final pay-per-view in general in professional wrestling of 2024 in North America. And we're going to cap it off with a good one. And we're going to cap it off with my co-host here. You usually see him talking all things New Japan Pro Wrestling here on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, but he has dabbled in some AEW. He joined me for our AEW Wrestle Dream preview. Now he joins me for the AEW Worlds End preview. He is the MC of the past, present, and future of New Japan Pro Wrestling here on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. It is your boy, Jay News. How are you doing?
Doing all right, brother. Doing all right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is an AEW day for your good brother Jay News, and today we're going to talk about all and everything that's going to be happening tomorrow night, and maybe some character assassination. I don't know, but at the end of the day, what we're going to do is discuss the upcoming events that will be going down tomorrow, and end of 2024. The big 2024 is almost over. SP3. It's been quite the year in pro wrestling, I would say. It's been quite the year. Lots of ups, lots of downs. I think more ups than downs, really. Shout out to Simon Miller. But you know, yeah, man. I think that 2024 did good for the pro wrestling fan. I think so. Yeah, just wanted to say that.
A lot of fun stuff from this year. A lot of people have had great years. I've been started doing our year end videos. I'm almost done finishing up our year end videos. We've already dropped our tier list for AEW for both the men's and women's roster, as well as our WWE women's tier list, our WWE men's tier list. Probably be out either later today or sometime this weekend. And we've done the women's wrestler of the year, men's wrestler of the year, worst match of the year, best match of the year. Just got like one or two more lists to do, and just going over, I was just like, man, a lot of people had great years. Like it's tough when you get down to the end of the year and determining who's winning this, who's winning that. I feel, and it's especially with the men's and women's wrestler of the year. I think the number one was like separated by like 3 points on the men's wrestler of the year, and then the number one on the women's wrestler of the year was like 20 points ahead. So it could be up and down, but it's cool the end of the year to see where everybody's heads is at with these different kind of a review of the whole entire year.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, with so much fanfare that professional wrestling has gathered over the last year, I think 2024 is one of those years where, you know, I don't think anybody would be wrong with whatever pick they make. I would feel, but you know, always depending on the bias, right? If there's a good level of objectivity when it comes to people's rankings, I can respect it. But when there's a bias, hey, bro, what can I say? What can I say?
What can you say? What can you do? But we appreciate y'all. If you're joining us live, appreciate y'all. If you're watching us on demand, remember to show your appreciation back. The simplest way possible is by dropping the thumbs up on this video. You can also share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you're new to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. And of course, if you're with us live, sound off in the live chat. We love to interact with all of you, hear your thoughts on this year, on this upcoming pay-per-view tomorrow night, AEW Worlds End, the final pro wrestling pay-per-view in North America of 2024. So looking forward to that one, and we want to hear your predictions in the live chat as well. To make sure your comment is highlighted on screen to show your support to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel as we wind down 2024. You could send a super chat donation. Any dollar amount matters. It goes back to the contributors that you see on screen with us here. So we always appreciate the support. But yes, J News, AEW Worlds End, the final AEW pay-per-view of 2024. So as we always do with our pay-per-view previews, give me how much you're looking forward to tomorrow night's show. 0 to 10. What is your anticipation level, your excitement level for AEW Worlds End?
I always look forward to AEW pay-per-views. They're the cream of the crop, to coin a phrase. You know, I'm at a good 8.5, right? Because I'm not sure about a certain a good 8.5 right now hype level going into World's End tomorrow. You know, so I think good things are bound to happen for a lot of different talents on the AEW roster, and the show will be among the best of the year, I think, to be so bold. So we'll see how it all breaks down tomorrow. But I'm at a good 8.5 right now.
Yeah, I'm with the chat. I'm with Call Me Mr. Bonda. Shout out to Call Me Mr. Bonda, who I think followed me on Instagram. I did not know you was a brother. Glad to know that, Mr. Bonda. And sports and things. I'm with sports and things and Mr. Bonda. I'm gonna be at an 8 out of 10. I'm at an 8 out of 10. I think that I agree with you. AEW pay-per-views they give us the best pay-per-views of any wrestling promotion out there. And a lot of times from AEW, the best stuff is the pay-per-views. Like you kind of have to get through the TV to get to the good part of the pay-per-views. But I would say like a big change from like the last time we did a preview, and the last preview I did for an AEW pay-per-view. You remember Wrestle Dream? I was down on the product. I thought the build to Wrestle Dream was the weakest. And then somehow the build to Full Gear was worse than the build to Wrestle Dream. So I was down on the build to Full Gear. But man, going to the smaller buildings for the Holiday Bash and then running Hammerstein for Christmas Collision and Dynamite has brought me back up. I'm more optimistic about AEW closing out 2024, coming off of these shows in the downsized arenas. It makes it feel like a hotter product, and the show has been better consistently. I said it yesterday on the Dynamite review. The last 3 Dynamites I've given an 8 or higher to.
Yeah, man. I mean, we were in attendance for Wednesday's Dynamite, so it was a whole hell of a lot of fun, I would say. Ain't nothing like New York City and New York City's fans and stuff like that, and how we interact with the talent and stuff like that. The matches, it wasn't surprising to see bangers at an AEW show. Don't get it twisted there, but I thought that, to what you were saying before about like the smaller venues, like it just makes it feel, it gives it a whole different feel, but in a positive way, right? Tony Khan is an ECW baby, and at the end of the day, I feel if he wants to bring back that feeling, as he calls it, he would stick to these specific, smaller, unique venues, and have that, if he can, have that rabid crowd appeal. And it'll only do AEW best to going forward and stuff like that. So
1000% agree. It's gonna be the better for AEW to run in these smaller buildings where they could get kind of the rabid hot fans to kind of respond to everything big time. And I would say, watching back the Wednesday show, because how it was paced, I was like, nah, they're not going to pace the actual show like this. They'll have stuff to fill in between stuff. And they did have stuff, backstage stuff that they filled in and stuff. But no, it was mostly paced how we watched it. Yeah. It was paced like a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Wednesday show.
Yeah. I saw the second hour, and I was like, oh damn, they did keep the pace of the show. Stuff like that. And it's always cool to see the backstage stuff, because obviously a lot of that stuff is either pre-taped or post-taped. So some of the stuff we don't get to interact with. So I was like, okay, this does definitely continue the story, or strengthens the story and stuff like that. So I can appreciate their backstage stuff.
Absolutely. But let's get into the card. We got 8 matches to go through, 3 of which will be the semifinals and the finals of the Continental Classic. But the other 5 matches will have some stakes involved, something on the line in each of these, including the first match we're going to discuss here. It's on the thumbnail. It will be MJF defending the AEW Dynamite Diamond Ring for a, 5th year in a row. He goes one-on-one with Adam Cole, baby. These 2 men were bestest of friends last year in Better Than You, baby. But it was all a ploy, apparently, from Adam Cole, who was the devil behind the mask, who put together the Undisputed Kingdom to screw over MJF. It led to MJF losing the AEW World Championship at last year's World's End before Adam Cole was revealed as the devil. Adam Cole and the Undisputed Kingdom did not get off to the strongest start due to Cole's injury. Roderick Strong won the AEW International Championship only to lose it just a few months later. It was hard times for them, but MJF made his return at Double or Nothing, low-blowing Adam Cole, taking him out for a while until Cole returned at Wrestle Dream and ran off MJF after he attacked Daniel Garcia. Following Wrestle Dream, Adam Cole said he wanted to get his revenge, get his hands on MJF. He didn't need the Undisputed Kingdom to do that. And then the Undisputed Kingdom said they wanted to help him beat up MJF. And he was like, sure. And then MJF gave them the obstacles ahead of Full Gear, with both Roddy and Cole having to win 3 matches to get a match with MJF at the pay-per-view. Roddy got the job done, but Cole didn't, losing to Konosuke Takeshita. Led to MJF defeating Roderick Strong at Full Gear, and then post-match injuring Roderick Strong's arm with a steel chair. It led to Kyle O'Reilly getting pissed off with Adam Cole for putting Roddy at risk, and it led to Cole and O'Reilly fighting out with one another to get a shot at MJF at World's End after being the final 2 in the Dynamite Diamond Ring Battle Royale. It was Cole who came out with the victory, and now Cole goes one-on-one with MJF here, with MJF having the goal of saying that you tried to end my world last year, and now he wants to end him completely. They had a really strong promo on Christmas Collision, which was the best part of the whole build-up for this rivalry. The whole Undisputed Kingdom thing has actively been the worst thing on AEW television, which is an accomplishment because it's a company that has Chris Jericho on TV every which way. So every week, somehow this was worse than Chris Jericho in the last month. I think that this needs to be the end of it and let both guys move on. But J News, what have you thought about the build to this matchup? Who do you think wins on Saturday?
I mean, just due to the inconsistency of the build within itself and Cole's injury, what they've had MJF do within the interim and what he hasn't done due to, you know, him being all Hollywood and stuff or whatever the case is. Hey man, get your money. I don't, you know, it is what it is, but hey, it ain't vibing, you know. This is the purported end to this storyline. So that is a positive thing. I am looking forward to seeing as to what is going to happen after this particular storyline goes down. I am not in the same boat as a lot of people are saying that the Undisputed Kingdom is going to turn on Adam Cole. I think, and in the sense of like they're not going to turn on Adam Cole and join MJF type deal. I don't think that's going to happen. Something else will happen because everybody needs new life at this point, and giving MJF another group to lead or go to, I think is just, it doesn't work. He's better off by himself, I think, at the end of the day. So with that being said, who wins this match? Who becomes the better from all this? It's got to be Max, right? It's got to be Max. I don't see Adam Cole winning this just because if they're gonna keep Adam babyface, it makes more sense for him to lose and work from under, having to, you know, find ways to defeat, you know, the Undisputed Kingdom and whatever's going on with Roddy and Kyle and all that stuff, or whatever the case is. So he's got to work those programs coming into the future. So I just see MJF winning here and Adam Cole going on a not a strong but a good babyface run to undo some of his wrongings of people and things of that nature. So that's the way I see it.
I'm going to go with MJF as well. Only reason I'm going with MJF is because he's the only one I can see getting something bigger coming out of this. Sure. I don't see that for Adam Cole. I think Adam Cole needs months and months of rehab. I think that honestly, I think that everything he's done since his return at Wrestle Dream has been more damaging than his ankle injury to him. Because he came back at Wrestle Dream to a huge pop, and that pop has gotten lower and lower every single week because he's not having entertaining segments. He's not having segments that stand out. It's either boring or not good.
I think a lot of people are in the understanding that they're just trying to tie up loose ends with all this. So that's why I'm saying I'm just waiting for whatever happens after this or whatever for both guys at the end of the day. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Yeah, all right. We got Call Me Mr. Banda, who says, I honestly don't care about this match at all. Wardlow still hasn't paid off his rivalry with MJF either. And that's going on, 3-4 years we've been telling the MJF Wardlow story. And I mean, he did kind of pay it off. I think the payoff was Double or Nothing to 2022 when he beats him with like 5 power bombs. That's the payoff. That was the payoff. Wardlow tried to get back involved and tried to reignite it, but that the rivalry did have a payoff. If you mean that it didn't have a payoff for Wardlow being a part of Undisputed Kingdom, then that's something. But I can't say that Wardlow still hasn't paid off his rivalry. He did pay it off. He beat his ass. He beat his ass, and he should have moved on to bigger and better things. But they tripped over themselves with that too. Then we got a super chat donation from the one and only good brother himself, Chilling with Chase. Thank you so much, Chilling with Chase. We appreciate you for all that you contribute with your comments in the live chat, for contributing, filling in here on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, whether it be for a watch along or my second co-host over on Rated Raw Review. Thank you so much, Chase, for joining us in the chat and for the super chat donation. He says, missed out on the live stream to say congrats on 20,000 subs for my brothers for True Hill Heat. Thank you for all the content you guys provide. The best community to be a part of. That is sweet. That is sweet. Thank you so much, Chase. You are great. A great part of that community that you talk about there. We also got here I Make Beats, one of our members in the chat, who says you had potential worth these guys too. Roddy, Kyle, Wardlow are all good wrestlers, and Taven Bennett are a solid in-ring team, in my opinion. Fumbled. Yeah. It's difficult. I just saw Russell Talk did a cool video, which was the top 10 worst wrestling fails. And on a bunch of them, they had the Elite Takeover storyline and Undisputed Kingdom. So I want to know from you guys. You guys let me know in the chat. What was a bigger fail for AEW? Undisputed Kingdom or the Elite Takeover storyline? I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the chat. Call Me Mr. Vonda says yes, as in elevating him in the main event picture. You right though. We also got Frantic World. He says they need to make the Dynamite Diamond Ring a trophy at this point. No, it's a MacGuffin. It's a MacGuffin. It's a tool that MJF uses to pick up victories, and it needs to be small to be like what it's supposed to accomplish, because it's easier for him to tuck it in his trunks, for him to hide it in certain places, to pull it out at certain other points. I think that it's fine being a ring. It doesn't need to be any type of trophy of any kind to me. I May Beats says Undisputed Kingdom, at least Elite got gold. All of them got gold. Yes, that is true, but the Elite's takeover storyline was much bigger. It was made to be a much bigger thing. They base whole episodes around it and then just completely dropped it because it made Tony Khan look like he wasn't in control of the show that he was writing and in control of. It's stupid reasoning. It's so stupid reasoning for a lot of the mistakes that AEW made in 2024. And I feel like Undisputed Kingdom and the Elite Takeover storyline are the two that come to the forefront when I think of stupid mistakes AEW made or dropping the ball on stuff. Power Driver Finisher says Undisputed Kingdom because they had injuries against them and they never picked up. He says UK was worse. And we also got I Make Beats. He says, can't disagree with you there, bro. Yep. So I think you could make the argument either way. J News, before we move on, what would you say was worse for AEW? The Elite Takeover storyline or Undisputed Kingdom in 2024?
Oh, man. You know what? I feel like, to answer your question directly, the Undisputed Kingdom stuff, right? But for the life of me, I feel like now we're completing the Undisputed Kingdom stuff. I still feel like the Elite Takeover thing is incomplete because I feel like it has to do with what's going on with Moxley. So that's why I'm like, I didn't necessarily know that's why I didn't pick the other one.
I just say because the Elite storyline, they just had, it was the simplest shit they could have done, which is you put the control of the company up in Anarchy in the Arena. It's right. Like I've been saying this shit for 6 months now. Like it's the one thing they could have, it would have changed the whole trajectory of the storyline is if there were stakes involved in Anarchy in the Arena. The only way you could do a takeover storyline if the guys actually take over. They never took over. Like, that's the thing that fucks that shit up completely. They never completed taking over.
Right. Yeah, that's true. They never took over. And then, you know, to follow up on that with the whole Death Riders thing, how they're supposed to take over, they haven't fully taken over either. So it's one of those things where do they continue to drag this? Is there going to be some sort of a combination of all parties involved to take over? Is like, did somebody pay somebody off? Like, there's got to be some sort of a tie-in for this story to work, because All Elite Wrestling predicated itself on long-term storytelling. So at the end of the day, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt.
And we just 2025, can AEW stop making storylines over the soul of AEW?
Yeah.
And stop telling their fans how much they suck now.
Yeah.
That seems to be a theme of AEW, especially in 2024. How many storylines did we have for the soul of AEW? Or AEW isn't good right now, guys, but I'm going to fix it. I'm going to take it over and make it feel better. We got to restore the feeling. The Adam Copeland rah-rah speech from May. Like, yo, there's too many instances where they made the company into this sympathetic, tried to make this company into a sympathetic babyface, but all they made the company look like is dumb, incompetent baby faces.
Pretty much. They need to fall back on all that and just concentrate on the talent that they have that's willing to be on TV on a weekly basis and that you feel you can push to the moon and back. You don't have to turn the company into a sympathetic figure. At the end of the day, you exist. You're a valid number two. And people are gonna watch regardless. And I was like, you don't need to characterize, you don't need to personify AEW. You don't need to characterize it. Like, let's give me the characters and the talent, not the company itself. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
True. But let's move on to the next match. Keep coming in with those comments, hit those super chat donations. Always appreciate that kind of support, because we got to talk about our first title match here for the AEW International Championship. Konosuke Takeshita will defend against Powerhouse Hobbs. It was Hobbs who made his return to All Elite Wrestling back in November as the tag team partner for Ricochet against Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher after the Don Callis family and Don Callis let Hobbs' contract expire with the family. Callis tried to make things up to him, but Hobbs wasn't trying to hear it. He says that he is coming to make Callis pay, and it starts with taking the AEW International Championship from the Alpha Konosuke Takeshita. This should be a hard-hitting hoss fight for sure. Who do you think wins this one? What have you thought about the build, which has seen Powerhouse Hobbs pick up a big victory in tag team action alongside Mark Davis against Takeshita and Lance Archer? But we're going to see what happens tomorrow night. Who gets the win, J News?
The win goes to Konosuke Takeshita. The man has lots to do in Japan come the first week of January, so I don't see him losing the title here. But this should be Big Will Hobbs coming out party, right? This should be that. This match, I mean. So that's what I'm counting on this match to be. Hopefully he's ready and he's prepared. He seems like a good brother. He has a lot of talent. He is one of the forefathers of the meat division in AEW. So at the end of the day, I expect good things from this match. I expect good things from Hobbs going forward. But it's not going to be his coronation as of yet.
I agree with you there. Konosuke Takeshita is probably my favorite champion of all the champions in AEW right now. I think that Konosuke Takeshita is like a top 5 wrestler in this company, and I think that he needs to have a strong reign as international champion, because I think it's not going to be the last title he holds in All Elite Wrestling, and he might be going for the top title before the end of 2025. So I need him to have a strong reign with this international championship first. So I think he gets the win, but I expect this one to be hard-hitting, physical, and a lot of meat chants.
Word. Can't disagree with that.
Next, we got for the AEW Women's World Championship, a Tijuana street fight. Mariah May will defend against the former champion, Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa has been on a roll in singles competition since concluding her feud with Deonna Purrazzo. She's been on a multi-match winning streak, picking up victories. She finished up a small little mini rivalry with Harley Cameron, beating her cousin Harley Graham as well. Mariah May, meanwhile, she picked up the victory over Mina Shirakawa back at Winter is Coming to retain the AEW Women's World Championship. Thunder Rosa had made a challenge to the winner of that matchup since she held victories over both women. When Mariah pulled out the victory, it was Thunder Rosa who made the challenge for a Tijuana street fight. After Mariah May said anytime, any place, any stipulation, she wanted that one. The two women brawled on Collision this past week, with Mariah May escaping, bailing from Thunder Rosa. Rosa's been picking up momentum. She has one more matchup against Layla Gray on the final Rampage tonight, but this should be physical, and if you know Thunder Rosa with a street fight stipulation, they have a lot of expectations here. And if you know Mariah May's style, I think that this should go very, very well. I have high hopes, high expectations for this one, probably higher than everybody else. What have you thought about the build for this matchup? Who do you think wins?
I think the build has been good. I am not closeted about being a Thunder Rosa fan. She's a friend of the channel. It is what it is, but she has always been nice to me when I have met her individually. So shouts to her. Yeah, like you said, man, street fights. If it's not Rosa, it's Willow, right? So at the end of the day, I feel like Rosa's going to take this to a place that we might not necessarily think of, especially with Mariah May. And Mariah May, regardless of characterization or not, she's very open to doing whatever it takes to have a great match in the ring. So I expect this to be one of the better matches of the night. My hope is that there is no meandering during the match, because Mariah does have a tendency to meander. She be out here thinking she's the head of the table when she ain't the head of the table. You know what I'm saying? So it's a different product all along. That's like my only gripe with Mariah May. But outside of that, I think she does great character work. Her promos are freaking top notch and stuff like that. And Rosa has that big time babyface fire that she's been needing since she's come back. So I can appreciate that. And I think from all this, I think we're gonna get like this whole I guess I'd call it like a hodgepodge of like interaction between a lot of the women in the women's division going forward when it comes to the women's world title in line or at the same time as, you know, Tony coming back and eventually probably regaining that championship somewhere down the road. So, you know, but it's going to be a lot of interaction between a lot of the women, which I think is going to be a positive for them, the division within itself, after this is all said and done. But I expect this match to be violent. I expect to see some blood, and I expect to see a lot of plunder. So
Plunder.
So that's my take on.
Excuse me, I have one correction to what you said, because you said something about a Tony coming back. Are you talking about that young upstart
the rookie
of the year, Tony Storm?
Right.
That's not Timeless Tony Storm.
No, that's not Timeless.
Timeless Tony Storm is like someone different. They may have similar names, but they're not the same person.
You're absolutely right. You know what? When we were at Dynamite, they were cheering Rookie of the Year for her.
She's a rookie.
Yeah, so you know, she's a rookie. I did see her on ROH TV last night, as a matter of fact, in her debut on ROH. So you're absolutely right.
She's got a future.
She's got a future. So with what's going on, obviously, the future is bright. I think she might be involved in this title with all the wins she's accumulating. She might be involved in this title picture sooner rather than later. And I know she has yet to run into Mariah May individually, but she has crossed paths with Thunder Rosa. She has crossed paths with the Vendetta, via Deonna Purrazzo and Taya Valkyrie.
Deonna knew a lot about her.
Yes,
weird.
It's weird. Yeah, it was odd. I don't know how she knew about her tattoo necessarily, because Taya mentioned the tattoo. I have no idea what that was about, but you know, I'd like to see some fervor in that women's division, and I think that after all is said and done in this Tijuana street fight, that maybe the rookie upstart might get have a clear path to a defense or be able to challenge for this title in the near future.
I can't wait for them to team Tony Storm and Thunder Rosa. They would make a cool team. Thunderstorm.
Yeah, I mean yes, absolutely. Yes, they've never necessarily tagged before from what I recall. Thunderstorm sounds like a real cool name,
Yeah, I came up with it all myself. It was a unique pop innovation.
Just right there. Gotcha,
yeah.
man. Creative juices are flowing. I hear you.
Power Driver Finisher says, great ROH debut. I know it was a quick roll-up, but you learn and you get better.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Frantic Girl says, give Tony Storm some time and she will get a shot at Mariah May women's title. I think you're asking for a lot, Sports and Things. He says a good match heading towards Tony in Australia. You want a rookie to get up to the main event scene in 2 months? That's asking for a lot.
Yeah, I mean, a lot. Unless they put some real substantial characters and competitors in there in that ring with her, she might be able to get there in due time. But February's not that close. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. There's time.
We shall see. But we shall see with this matchup. I agree with you. I'm really expecting this to be one of the better matches on the show. I think that honestly, outside of like the Continental Classic, the matches I'm looking forward to the most on this show are the women. Because for the TBS Championship, Mercedes Moné will defend against Chris Statlander. Yes, that's right. Mercedes Moné versus Chris Statlander. Two. You know how great the first match was that AEW gave them the 2 moniker. Two. like they're giving them the fucking Roman numerals because of how good their match at Full Gear was. They had an instant classic at Full Gear. Mercedes' best match since coming to AEW, with Mercedes pulling out the victory somehow, some way over Statlander. Statlander has not let that deter her at all, picking up victories in singles competition since that loss, and kept her eyes on Mercedes. Mercedes, in the meantime, had the best women's match of the year. Yes, I'm just calling it that. It was the best against Suzuki at NJPW Strong Style Evolve for the NJPW Women's World Championship. She is set to defend that title against Mina Shirakawa in a double title matchup on January 5th at Wrestle Kingdom in AEW. She picked up a title defense against Anna Jay in arguably one of Anna Jay's best matches of her career. Mercedes seems to be closing out 2024 strong after a couple of months where it wasn't looking too good there. While Chris Statlander has kept up the momentum, made the challenge to Mercedes for World's End. Mercedes accepted, but she says that the result will be just the same as Full Gear. Is it time to crown Chris Statlander to end off 2024? I will make the prediction first. I think it is. It's time to fix the hierarchy of the AEW women's division. The reason why the hierarchy was messed up, because when Mercedes first comes in and she goes after the TBS championship, the hierarchy doesn't get messed up there because Timeless Tony Storm was the ace. Timeless Tony Storm was the main character of the division. So as long as she has the world championship, that is still going to be the world title, the main title, despite Mercedes elevating the TBS championship to kind of be the 1B title of the division. Once Timeless Tony Storm loses the title and you're trying to make a new star with the title in Mariah May, you needed to make Mariah May the main character. You did not do that. You actually made Mercedes the main character following All In. And it was at a time where Mercedes was not at her best as a heel. Mercedes as her best as a heel is Mercedes on her own as a heel. Whenever you try to put her with someone or pair her with someone, if their name ain't Bailey, it doesn't work out well for that person. Ask Reggie. Axe Camille. That's how this works when you pair someone else with Mercedes Moné that is not Pamela Bailey. It does not work out well for them. So did not work out well for her there. And after All In, the women's division went down. But I think that the Full Gear matchup kind of got the optimism back to the women's division, and they can follow that up with these two matches coming up tomorrow. I am going with them to fix the hierarchy completely to end off 2024 and have Statlander win the TBS championship. And in 2025, it's the march to Mercedes winning the main title.
I can understand where you're coming from. I get it, to be quite honest. I just feel like, for one, to speak on the match itself, it should be another match that gets a lot of time. They'll have another.
Oh, this is going above 20 minutes because that was a
is,
whole big thing that people nitpickers were out there after Full Gear, like, oh my God, it's the longest women's match of all time. It wasn't even 20 minutes. So you know they're going to get 20 minutes.
Right. And Tony Khan, listen to the people, give them more than 20 minutes. They can go. I just feel that the TBS championship route for the ladies has a lot more. No, they have talent in that sphere that can be involved outside of Chris Statlander and Mercedes Moné, and I feel that's going to play into the end of the match, if that makes any sense. If folks have been watching AEW TV as of late, it seems like Chris Statlander is feeling some sort of remorse, guilt, maybe. She might be regretting as to what it is that she did to our fair Willow Nightingale. Is this the perfect opportunity to turn Willow heel? Who knows? Per se.
Oh, hell no.
Who knows? I'm saying who knows. I'm not saying I'm just saying it's a possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen.
No, it should not be a possibility.
Just say it's a possibility. And obviously there's Camille, right? She's got bones in this whole thing. So, you know, she could make an appearance post-match or during the match or whatever the case is to cost Mercedes to this in this case, you know, have happen what you want to happen, which is Chris Statlander winning the TBS championship. I just feel like it seems, to a point you made as well, Mercedes seems to be doing better on her own, right? And what better way to have the CEO be the non-champion of her division, in the sense of she's not the women's champion, but she's a TBS champion. She's also the strong champion. Walk into Wrestle Dynasty against Mina Shirakawa, still holding those belts, and beat Mina for that Rev Pro Women's Championship. And she'll be an international global CEO, having to defend all these championships in all these places. You know, I think that can be something that happens as well. But if I have to pick, because I know I have to pick at this point in juncture, and I don't have a tendency of doing this. You guys can look back. I've never picked her to win a match, but I'm gonna pick her this time around. She's growing on me 10 years after the fact. Mercedes Moné for the win.
He's like, it grew on me. This dude who was against Mercedes coming to New Japan last year.
She's growing on me 10 years later. Yeah, but
only took 10 years. Better late than never. Man.
She wore me down. You know what I'm saying? She wore me down. I'll tell you that. But
I agree, Power Driver Finisher. I'd rather
Athena
be the Triple Crown winner. But I can, like, the reason I'm not gonna argue with you, because I can't see that happening. I can't see it happening. Just having Mercedes retain the TBS championship so she could become a Triple Crown winner on January 5th.
Stranger things have happened in the wrestling landscape.
Because she does not need, like, I've seen a couple of people in the chat being like, oh, I think CEO for the win to set up for New Japan matches. Someone was like, oh, she needs to win for the New Japan. She doesn't need to win. This is not for the TBS championship on January 5th. She does not need to win.
I thought it was title for whatever reason.
It's
No?
the NJPW
Oh,
Women's
strong for the
Championship.
Rev Pro. Strong for the Rev Pro. Gotcha. Yeah, man. I don't know, man. I just feel like, you know, it is Mercedes. Some people like to call her Mercedes Hogan. You know, so you know, at the end of the day, she's out here telling people, you know, that doesn't work for me, brother. You know, so she's brothering people backstage in politics, and now I'm fucking with her. But at the end of the day, I think Mercedes wins this match, not in the sense of like she needs to. I was joking about her having to win the Rev Pro Women's Championship, but I feel like there's going to be a storyline element as to why she wins and Chris Statlander loses. And then that'll have Chris in a non-title feud. I hope it's not with Willow or whatever the case is, or you know, something to that effect. But I feel like it won't be clean. The finish won't be clean. So that I feel like that's why Mercedes retains, and we'll go from there. I feel so.
Yeah, I can see that. I just think that, especially after the last matchup and the fact that Chris has established she's the defeater of the undefeated, she's the right person to be the one to dethrone Mercedes and end the winning streak.
And mind you, Mercedes barely won against Chris Statlander, so you know,
yes.
At the end of the day, she might need some assistance beating Chris Statlander. A lot of brass knucks in wrestling nowadays. You know what I'm saying? So
Morrison thing says Renegade Twins Saturday. I can see that. But I don't know if pairing up with Mercedes, like I said before, I don't know if that's the best thing for the people that pair up with her.
It's not the best move, man. And I know people love the Renegade Twins. Like the girls have a lot of talent. They're still young in the business and stuff like that. And I know it's been something that's been floated around on the internet for months. I don't see it. I really don't see it. So we'll see, man. We'll see how it goes.
We shall see. But let's get into the AEW World Championship matchup, Fatal 4-Way. Jon Moxley will defend against Hangman Adam Page, Orange Cassidy, and Switchblade Jay White. It was at Full Gear that Moxley defeated Cassidy in a great main event. Post-match, Moxley and Wheeler Yuta poured chemicals down Orange Cassidy's throat, trying to take him out, trying to kill him, until Hangman Adam Page came out with a steel chair. He laid out Wheeler Yuta and distracted Moxley long enough for Christian Cage to come in and hit the kill switch. Christian was supposed to cash in his AEW World Title opportunity, but Switchblade Jay White got a measure of revenge against Christian, costing him the opportunity to cash in. The Death Riders attacked Jay White from behind following this, which led to them escaping from the building at Full Gear, but also led to Switchblade and the Hangman setting their sights on the Death Riders. They set their sights on the Death Riders, and the Death Riders set their sights on him. You had Hangman defeating Wheeler Yuta in one-on-one action, while Jay White defeated Pac. Post-match, you had Moxley jump Jay White, lay him out after Jay White got the better of Wheeler, Pac, and Marina Shafir. Then Moxley had a big old stare down, a big dual stare off with his former rival, Hangman Adam Page. Page is one of the few men that owns a victory over Moxley in a Texas death match back at Revolution last year. But then it was Orange Cassidy who returned as a cameraman, attacked Moxley from behind. This led to the big occasion where all three baby faces three challengers worked together to lay out Moxley. This led to Moxley being so frustrated, so pissed off that he decided he was going to put the AEW World Title on the line against all three men. Orange Cassidy said that his goal is not even to win the AEW World Title anymore, because what Moxley wants to do to AEW, he just wants to make sure that Moxley is not the champion. Jay White has been on a quest to win the AEW World Title since he signed with this company, coming up short against MJF at Full Gear, and now gets another title shot opportunity 1 year later, while Hangman Adam Page has been obsessed with the AEW World Title, and now it's his only sole obsession after he ended his longtime rivalry with Swerve Strickland. These are three of the few men in AEW history that own singles victories over Jon Moxley, making this his biggest threat yet as AEW World Champion. J News, what have you thought about the build to this match with Orange Cassidy trying to bring Hangman and Switchblade, who have their own separate issues following their matches at Wrestle Dream and Full Gear, trying to bring them together because they're better off working together and taking out Moxley than Moxley using their issues together to come out with the title win. What have you thought about the build to this match, and who do you think wins tomorrow night?
It's been a build, right? Not in a bad way either, right? Because it was slow to start, and then they've been, I wouldn't say firing on all cylinders the last couple of weeks, but stuff's been working, right? I feel in that regard. As to how this breaks down with so many different elements, right? 4 wrestlers, 1 match. Who comes out the victor? Moxley doesn't even have to get pinned to lose a championship in this particular instance. How does this all break down? It makes for an easy pass for Christian to come in and use the contract as well. Can this be a spark to have a returning star come back after the finish of a match to then progress this storyline even further? Things of that nature. I think, yet again, going back to TV, what happened this week? I believe it was on Dynamite. It was a backstage promo that Renee was interviewing Hangman, and CD came in during the interview. That's going to be important to this match. I feel.
I don't want it to be important to this match because it involves CD.
Right, but it involves CD in the sense of like 6 degrees of separation, right? He's the MacGuffin in the promo, but he won't be the one to undo whatever the match is gonna do. You understand what I'm saying? So, look, it's interesting. I for one am one of the few people who has liked what they've done with what has become of the Death Rider storyline. I feel like it should be a bit grander. I agree with a lot of people there. Like if you're gonna take over a company, take over a company. You know what I'm saying? But if you're gonna do it brick by brick and do it, starting with just the AEW championship and the people in the main event scene, okay, are you gonna do all the other scenes as well? Like I think that should be a thing. If they're gonna do long term with it as well, because they have the players for it at the end of the day. But if I'm going for the wins and losses here, this is what this kind of match is created for, unless they're trying to make a new star. So because there's so many different pieces, I feel like Mox retains here. But there will be definitely different story elements that come from this match that aren't ones that we've been seeing in the weeks leading up to this after the match is over. So that's what I'm looking forward to see. And I don't know if you feel this way or not about Hangman. Something in me feels like they're trying to turn him face eventually again, man. Like it's one of those things. And I'll be right back.
I think they've done a good job with Hangman Adam Page of very much saying, hey, we're going to let the fans decide. Sometimes he's going to be the heel if he's going against a Swerve Strickland or a Jay White. He's going to be the baby face if he's going against a Jon Moxley. They've done the whole heel turn and the descent of Hangman's consciousness and his morals. They've done this so well where you can kind of have him play either role depending on, he's a character. He is a character that you're going to react to. So if he's going against the top heel in the promotion, you've been hearing the fans react, like giving him some big babyface reactions. When he comes out and does the big stare down with Moxley in the entranceway, that got a big response. When he came out to make the save for Jay White and Orange Cassidy on Dynamite, that got a big pop in the Hammerstein Ballroom. So I think that they are playing with this, but I think we're going to see what direction they go in after this. Is Hangman going to continue involved in the Jon Moxley and Death Rider storyline? Does he splinter off into a whole nother story? Because I can realistically see in the result of this matchup leading to a Hangman versus Orange Cassidy feud, along with Jay White still chasing after the AEW World Championship. I know that for sure the result of this matchup cannot be Jay White losing, because I think that Jay White needs to be kept strong as you go into Australia next year, because I think that Jay White versus Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship should probably be the main event of Grand Slam in Australia. So you got to keep Moxley, you got to keep Switchblade strong, and you got to also make sure Switchblade looks like he could have won this matchup. Look like he could have gotten the win if not for either Moxley pulling out a referee or the Death Riders getting involved, because I feel like they have something here with Switchblade that not even the fans like of him that have been fans of him for the last couple of years, like me and you, I don't think we even saw him being this good as a babyface, because he was so great as a heel. You sometimes don't think a guy can be that good as a babyface if they're just the perfect heel. And that's what Switchblade was. So he's been a revelation of me as a babyface. Keep him strong. Make sure he's not involved in the finish to this matchup, because you could still have him chase after the title.
I don't disagree with you with what you're saying. I just feel like I feel like the bigger play going into Australia is really making Kyle Fletcher.
He's not getting a world title shot.
Hear me out. Hear me out.
I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know. I am helping you out, sir. I am helping you out. Kyle Fletcher's not getting a shot at the world title.
Hear me out here. Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. I feel like it would be in the best interest of AEW. Stop using some of the veteran guys to hold that belt. Create a new star. You have this international show. He's from the country. Why not do it there at the end of the day? I'm just saying. That's just me prognosticating. But to the point you were making, I feel like, yes, keeping Jay White strong is important in this match, right? Orange Cassidy is one of those people, one of those characters in AEW that you can really put anywhere, and he'll make things interesting to a degree because he's always working from under. So I feel like Orange Cassidy being the profound underdog, at the end of the day, Frantic World, you're wrong. He is ready.
He's not ready. No, Frantic World is right. He's not ready for that.
He's absolutely ready.
He's on his his ascent.
No,
you can't get. You're literally. The plane just pulled off.
No,
and you're trying to have it go into space. No. Like, what the fuck are we talking about?
It's called the rocket pack for a reason, son. Son, come on now. Anyways, that's me. That's wishful thinking. At the end of the day, I am a logical man. So, for all intents and purposes, keeping Jay White strong is important. Orange Cassidy will probably see his way out. He'll see his way into another feud out of this, not necessarily knowing where per se.
That's why I said Hangman. Hangman makes sense. They do this finish in a way where it parlays into a Hangman and Orange Cassidy, because we've never seen that match.
We haven't, and they're both AEW originals, which is weird.
Yeah,
for that match, not for it not to have happened already. But yet again, with all the different moving pieces in the storyline, right? Like, is Hangman going to rejoin the Elite? I have this feeling that they're going to try to turn him face, but I can be completely wrong about that or whatever the case is, And the conglomeration's not the conglomeration anymore, if we're being quite honest. The
conglomeration's not a faction. It was never a faction.
So I feel like, yeah, that would be an interesting matchup though, to come out of the 4-way. Yet again, you know me. I'm a fan of Jay White. At the end of the day, I don't think keeping Jay White in the title picture is would be wrong at all. As interesting of a character that he is, be it a heel or now a face. At the end of the day, he should get the guns back at some point, right? Because if Mox is going to continue to freaking rock with the Death Riders,
well, they hurt. Austin's hurt.
Everybody's hurt.
Yeah.
Juice is hurt. The guns
Juice is
hurt.
Juice is hurt. Guns hurt.
So it's like he's got to get somebody back at some point, you know. But I think this is kind of like the cool thing about it all, right? Not necessarily knowing where it's going to grow, because it doesn't always have to be as predictable as we want it to be. This is a good way for them to have the main event scene looking, especially at the same time building everybody up at the same time. So it makes sense there.
I think the best thing about the build to this World's End Fatal 4-Way has been Hangman and Switchblade getting back into the main event. I think that's the one positive that I haven't heard anyone say anything negative about. I think this is where these two guys should be. And they should not, we should not be like, oh, thank God he put him back into the main event scene in 2025. It should just be something that is a thing. Yeah. They're main eventers. Switchblade Jay White, Hangman Adam Page, they're main eventers. Treat them like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, Switchblade, Hangman, Swerve. Let's not forget about Swerve, folks. Let's not forget.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's more people in this company. I think they figured out how to present Swerve. They've done a better job like the last month on how to present Swerve. But for the most part in 2024, I struggled to see how they were presenting both Hangman, even though I think Hangman, of course, had a better position because he was in the feud with Swerve, but especially Switchblade Jay White. Fucking spend a quarter of the year fucking around with Daddy Ass and fucking Anthony Bowen, and you put Jay White in one of the worst matches of the year against Daddy Ass.
Yeah, they did that. They did do that. You know, but he makes a lot with a little. Does Jay White in the ring? So kudos to him.
I've said it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. I don't think anyone has been written off more by the internet wrestling community, only to bring them back to him more often than Jay White. Yeah.
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Yeah, man, we'll see how it comes about. But I think Mox retains that at the end of the day. So, but from a storyline perspective, I think, you know, if this is where the strength of your 2025 is going to start from, then I think it's a good starting point, to be quite honest, whatever the fallout of the matches. So yeah.
I think so. I just really think that the direction needs to be the Jay White and Moxley for Grand Slam. We got Big Man Dogs. It says, remember when the unified trios titles and then they split them up right after? Good times. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Yep. They did the whole bang bang scissor gang angle to unify the trios title, only to ununify them 3 months later.
Yeah. So, you know, not everything they do works, man. Not everything they do works. So I hear it.
But yes, I got Moxley retaining there, but that's not the main event. That's not the last matches we're going to discuss on this show, because what I'm saying right here, right now on our preview is that if Tony Khan don't headline this show with the Continental Classic finals, then we need to take his pen. We need to take his pen. We need to start a petition and take his pen, because he don't know what the fuck he's doing. Because he has the potential to have 2 either Okada or Ospreay matches on a show. So if he expects this 4-way to live up to 2 different Ospreay or Okada match, I'm going to say mostly 2 Ospreay matches after the 2024 Ospreay has had, where he has had the best match on every single pay-per-view, barring one, and that took Bryan Danielson putting his career on the line to make sure that Ospreay didn't have the best match on that show, but every other pay-per-view, Ospreay's had the best match on the show, and you're going to give 2, and neither one is in the main event? That you don't know how to book. You don't know how to book. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. If he doesn't headline, if he has Ospreay win in the semis, and then he's going to have an Ospreay Continental Classic final matchup, and that's not the headliner of this show, he does not know how to book. That's where I'm at. But we got the semifinals of the Continental Classic tournament. Is going to be Kazuchika Okada going one-on-one with Ricochet. And then we got Will Ospreay one-on-one with Kyle Fletcher. Kazuchika Okada was number 2 in the Blue League with victories over the Beast Mortos, Shelton Benjamin, and Mark Briscoe. He went to a time limit draw with Daniel Garcia while being beat by Kyle Fletcher. Ricochet, number 1 in the Gold League with victories over Brody King, Darby Allin, and Commander. He went to a time limit draw with Darby Allin on Wednesday's Dynamite while taking a loss in the beginning of the tournament to Claudio Castagnoli. Kyle Fletcher was one of the main stars of the Continental Classic tournament this year. He pulled off the big victory over Kazuchika Okada. He picked up a victory over the Beast Mortos, and he beat Daniel Garcia on this past week's Dynamite. He had a victory over Shelton Benjamin. He took one loss in the whole entire tournament to Mark Briscoe. And he was number 1 in the Blue League. He is facing number 2 in the Gold League, Will Ospreay, who had losses to Ricochet and Darby Allin, but he did pick up victories over Claudio Castagnoli, Brody King, and Juice Robinson in the tournament. And these guys have pretty much, like, I would say 3 out of the 4 of these guys have been the story of the Continental Classic this year, whether it be Ricochet's heel turn, which has been one of the most entertaining stories developing on AEW television over the last couple of weeks, Will Ospreay with his spectacular matches against Brody King and his match of the year candidate with Darby Allin in the tournament, and Kyle Fletcher, who had one of the best underdog stories of the tournament with Mark Briscoe, with Briscoe getting the win, his big dramatic victory over Kazuchika Okada. Okada's kind of been the odd man out when it comes to the story of the tournament. He's kind of been low-key underneath the surface, even though the build and the hype for the tournament before it started was about Okada being the greatest tournament wrestler. I think the main story has been about the other 3 guys in our semifinals, which makes it interesting to do our predictions. So we're going to do predictions for the semifinals first. Who you got? Okada, Ricochet, Ospreay, Fletcher. And overall, what have been your thoughts on this year's Continental Classic? I said it last night on the Fightful post show for ROH. I think this year's tournament has told more stories than last year's tournament.
Agreed.
And I think that this year's tournament had the best match of either tournament with Ospreay and Darby. And I think that Ricochet's heel turn is probably on par or even more memorable, I think, in the long run, it may be, than even Eddie Kingston's underdog story from last year. Because Ricochet is someone that I've been a fan of to a certain level, because I think he's so sensational in the ring. But seeing Ricochet, the heel character, on Collision last week and Dynamite this week, it's like a revelation. It's making me question, why the fuck have you been doing flips this whole time? You're much better at doing this.
Well, he's doing this and he's still flipping. So gather that, right? I would, just to make commentary, because we were talking about this before we went live, or whatever the case is. Ricochet's heel turn. I think it's a good thing for him. Something's finally working, right? With that being said, right, the internet right now, wrestling Twitter, is running with something that I feel could be a bit detrimental to Ricochet. I think somebody in the chat mentioned it earlier, having Ricochet work a Andrew Tate-like character and things of that nature. There are lines you can blur, right? There are lines you can blur. Absolutely. But then there's lines you can't cross necessarily, right? So I think that the comparison can be fair from a look standpoint, tone standpoint, right? But we can't necessarily compare the men at this point, right? I think that's fair to say that we can't compare the men at this point, right? So let's just keep that there. With me saying that, I think for the semifinal match, Kazuchika Okada versus Ricochet should be a stellar banger. But I do believe that one of the all-time greats continues to be one of the all-time greats. Kazuchika Okada will win his match versus Ricochet, and he will continue to prove that he is the best tournament wrestler in all of wrestling history, probably surpassing Chono at some point. And yeah, he ain't surpassed that yet, but probably surpassing Chono at some point. And he takes the win here versus Ricochet, and because I'm going to continue to spin this narrative, right? And my main man, call me Mr. Bonda, he's with me. I'm here about the Kyle Fletcher agenda, baby. It's got to be Fletcher versus Okada. So Fletch beats Ospreay again. And those are my semifinal picks, because that's what you asked me to do. Semifinal picks. There you go.
I think that Kyle Fletcher has been great in this tournament. And I am a fleshlight. But he ain't beating no Will Ospreay. It's like, that would be no, I'm sorry. Like, I'm all for pushing new guy. And I think that the push of Kyle Fletcher has been one of the better things AEW has done the last 2 months of 2024. He doesn't need to win on Saturday. He's already won. He has the best record in the tournament. He has 12 points overall. Ospreay is the one that needs this win. Ospreay needs to get the win here to at least make it to the finals, because then we have what can be the start of his 2025 story. We got all AEW is really doing right now is just figure out different ways to keep Ospreay away from the world title, because it's look, the more and more days pass, it's looking like, what the hell are y'all waiting for? This is his company. He should be the undisputed face of the whole promotion. But I'm convinced they're just going to come up with different ways to keep him busy. Ospreay wins against Fletcher. Okada wins against Ricochet. Okada, Ospreay, main event.
Okay. That's your main event. Okada, Ospreay. I have Fletcher versus Okada at the end of the day. But I think you and I might share in what will happen during the aftermath of the win of this match, of the final match. So we still get to the same destination.
We still get to the same destination, because I think we both are going with the main event winner to be Kazuchika Okada.
Absolutely.
Kazuchika, you can't do the whole hype of greatest tournament wrestler ever
and have him lose.
And then one he didn't really, outside of like the Fletcher match, he didn't really have a lot of great matches. And the Fletcher match was more talked about because of the result more than the quality of the matchup. Mm-hmm. So when you think about the Continental Classic from this year and you think about the matches, you're going to think about Ospreay and Darby. You're going to think about Briscoe and Fletcher. You're going to think about the Fletcher and Garcia matchup from Wednesday, or Ospreay versus Brody, or Ricochet versus Darby. Even though Shelton Benjamin and Kazuchika Okada faced for the first time, it was like the fourth best match on that show. So like we need Okada to get, because he has not had a like great AEW like match of the year candidate yet. I feel like the closest thing he got was Pac, but because you have Will Ospreay having the year he had in 2024, I don't think the Pac and Okada matchup makes the top 10 in AEW, because you have Ospreay having 5-star matches per month. So that's kind of tough for him to find a way in. So we need Okada to have a stellar match on this pay-per-view. And I think the best 2 chances of him having that is against Ricochet and Ospreay.
You're downplaying Kyle Fletcher. I don't understand this madness. But at the end of the day, I agree that Kazuchika Okada wins the tournament. He didn't get to win last year's C2, obviously. So him winning this year's C2 makes all the sense in the world. And at the end of the day, the expectation at this point, right, is that he gets coronated. The Okada dollars start falling from the sky. And then we hear some music.
Yes, they gotta close the show with Omega coming out, and they just
Right.
do Okada Omega stare down, and that's how we close
Absolutely.
2024 for AEW. Everybody will be talking about it. People will be going getting their next streaming service to see what happens next. We need Okada to come. Okada gets the win against Ospreay in the main event for me, and then Kenny Omega comes out and stares down with Okada to close the show.
I agree with that. I feel like, with obviously with the rise of Will Ospreay in AEW, and like you said, Will basically being the uncrowned face of AEW, right? We can't forget that the cleaner still exists, right? He's still out there, and if he can be, I agree with something I heard or read. Like if he can be even 80% of what he was, it's still a win over whatever else you can put into whatever charge you can put into AEW, right? Even 80% of Kenny Omega is better than 100% of a lot of other people at the end of the day, right? So I think that post match face to face would be everything. I still feel, or should I say, I also feel like Kenny's gonna have a part or role, should I say, in this whole AEW takeover thing eventually, right? With the Death Riders and all that stuff or whatever. But the matchup, Okada, Omega, AEW, they've got to make that happen. And it'll
when did they pull the trigger on that though?
I mean, a lot of people are thinking that they're gonna probably wait it out to All In, right? I don't know. You can honestly make it happen whenever, to be quite honest. But there has to be a story build because obviously for those of us who watch New Japan understand where the story is, right? Or where it emanated from. But a lot of people who never watch New Japan don't. So they need time to tell that to build and put that story on the table for folks. So depending as to how they want to do that, we'll see that play out through dynamites and collisions or whatever the case is and all that jazz. And we'll go from there. Now, depending on who the loser of this match is going to be, right? Obviously, in your case, it's going to be Ospreay. In my case, it's going to be Kyle Fletcher, right? Will Ospreay is not a heel, right? So it's not like he's going to attack anyone post-match, right? But Kyle Fletcher can, right? So yet again, me in my head and my narrative and pushing him and giving him the rocket pack, right? Makes all the sense in the world for him to get involved in the post-match stuff and whatnot, just to elevate his stature in the card even more without putting a championship on him, right? Right, SP3. You don't want him to be the champion, but if he smacks around Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada, he's prime time.
So you want him to no sell a Rainmaker, basically?
No,
sell it for a few seconds and then get up to
because Kenny's gonna take his time coming down to the ring at the end of the day, And Kenny's gonna come in the ring. Kyle's gonna roll out of the ring. He's gonna go outside. He's gonna recover eventually. They'll stare off because that face to face is gonna last a minute.
They don't have that much time, boss. They have a hard out at midnight. And we know each of the Continental Classic matches getting 20 minutes plus.
Well, they can, right?
No, they are. There's no time limit in the playoffs.
Oh, okay, all right. So there's that. But yet again, I think it's really more, me sharing the narrative, me pushing the Kyle Fletcher agenda at the end of the day, So
that's the Kyle Fletcher agenda. Oh my God, that's ridiculous.
So that's he's winning in AEW and he's winning in life. And for those of you who don't believe that that's true, you're freaking fooling yourselves. You're fooling yourselves.
We do have a super chat donation from Genesis J, the #1 J News fan. Thank you so much. He says, "My dog for real, J News has spoken. Woof woof." And then run emoji. He also has another super chat donation here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Genesis J. He says, Devil Sky theme, please.
That makes the most sense, man. It makes the most sense. That's where the history lies, right?
Yeah.
That's where the history lies. So that makes the most sense.
I'm here for it. I'm here for Kenny Omega. If that's the one prediction that we get right, that's what I'm here for.
Word.
That's what I'm here for.
Absolutely.
But that brings us to a close on our AEW World End 2024 preview. It goes down tomorrow night live on pay-per-view, Triller.tv. You could order it over there. I'm not sure yet if we're going to be doing a watch along. I will talk to Romeo and we'll definitely update it. We'll put it up there for you to enjoy so you know everything will go down, but we'll definitely be here tomorrow morning, 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time with the True Hill Heat flagship podcast, final predictions from Josh and Miss Chrissy Love on World's End, as well as talking about this weekend wrestling. And of course, the bigger thing, the True Hill Heat year-end award. So if you haven't already, go to our community tab. It says vote now. If you haven't already, please, please, please vote right now on the True Hill Heat year-end awards. We are tallying everything up. Voting closes tonight at 11 p.m. So you still have time to vote if you haven't already. Please go out of your way to vote. Be a part of the True Hill Heat year-end awards. We'll be revealing the winners tomorrow on the flagship podcast. But I want to thank Jay News for joining me today for our preview. Jay News, let everybody know where they can follow you on social media and when they will see you again.
You can follow me on the Twitter and the X at JohnLYFNMG. Follow me on the Instagram _JONJY. Thank you, Dolores, by the way. You can also watch me Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the lovely Dolores, discussing everything in the wrestling world on the Hit the Ropes podcast on Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, either on Dolores' YouTube channel or my YouTube channel. So go to our bios in our Twitter X Spaces and click on our link trees. Our stuff is there. You can check us out there. You can also catch me here every other kind of week on True Hill Heat, talking about that NJPW goodness with my good brother SP3 and the lovely Sonal as well. The best never open 6-man tag team champs of all time on the internets, that is. So there's that. Catch me there. We still have our Wrestle Kingdom preview to do, so we'll be doing.
I was gonna say, yeah, if you're free on Monday, that's probably the best day because I know Sonal leaves on Wednesday.
Wednesday, right?
So yeah.
So catch us on Monday. We'll be probably live at about 1:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we do to preview Wrestle Kingdom and probably Wrestle Dynasty as well, if anything, right? So we'll be doing that. So you catch me there, folks. You know me. I try to be as on it as I can.
Absolutely. Jay News is always on it. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3. Follow the gang, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at True Hill Heat. Patreon.com/True Hill Heat. You can vote right now on the True Hill Heat year-end awards over there as well, if you haven't already. And of course, you could go over there and check out exclusive content like we dropped in today, our ROH Final Battle 2024 review from last Friday. That's dropping on the channel. I reviewed the show, so that will be up there today. And then, like I said before, join us tomorrow live right here on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. I believe we might be going live early, like 10:05 a.m. Eastern Time, but hit the bell to stay notified so you always get informed whenever we go live. Our year-end awards episode, our final True Hill Heat flagship podcast of 2024. We got one final super chat donation from Call Me Mr. Bonda. Thank you so much. He says, very keen for next week, gentlemen.
Oh, he's excited. He knows what's going on. Call me Mr. Bonda. Mr. Bonda, you, sir. Thank you as always for being a participant and showing love to True Hill Heat.
Absolutely. And we'll figure out, we'll let you know when we're doing the reviews for all the shows. January 4th, January 5th, Wrestle Kingdom, Wrestle Dynasty. So Monday we'll have the preview, but we'll let you know on Monday when we're doing the reviews for those shows as well. But Join us live tomorrow for the Flagship Podcast. Join us on Sunday for our review of AEW Worlds End. If you haven't already, check out all the great content on the channel. Like if you like AEW content, AE Ramble 178. C2 Christmas, reviewing the Christmas Day edition of AEW Dynamite on 34th Street. If you like AEW content to review the year, check out our AEW Women's tier list, as well as our AEW Men's tier list for 2024, where we ranked every single superstar on the AEW roster for their 2024. Like I said before, check out our ROH Final Battle review over at patreon.com/TrueHillHeat. So for J News, it is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. This has been our AEW World's End 2024 preview. We are signing off until next time.